Ejiofor joins us next. He's a former director with the State Security Service. Good morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Vastly experienced in security, and you've had the brush with men of the underworld, having been kidnapped yourself. So nothing is new to you about enforcing and then being a victim as well. Thankfully, you came out alive. So with all of these narratives we've heard from different security agencies, heads of those agencies, I know you have heard several people tell you, look, we've been through this road before, of them assuring and reassuring us of what to expect for elections. And at the end of the day, history has shown that a number of times, we've seen that it didn't go exactly the way many people expected, having heard them speak. And we then ask now, do you expect anything to be different this time?
Well, I'm not a pessimist, but I'm afraid that the three states conducting this off-cycle election have history of violence, political and non-political violence. Incidentally, I have fair knowledge of the three states. I was a director in Bayelsa, and I was removed for 6 years as a principal officer. And I had my brush too in Kogi, so I think I have fair knowledge of the three states. Like I said, they have history of political violence. And this is not going to be different from the trend of what has been going on.
Why do you think so? You
can see the pre-election violence recorded in both Imo, Kogi, and it's Bayelsa that we've not recorded major political violence. But that is not to say that it's going to be drug-free. What I believe that INEC, as the umpire, must do its work now. But if INEC fails this time, the post-election violence or during election violence is not anything anybody can think of and sit down here and be discussing. My reasons are this. If you go to Bayelsa, for instance, you have major players, major political players. If you go to Kolokuma, Opokuma, that's where the incumbent governor comes from, he wants to come back. If you go to Obama, immediate past governor comes from there. Then you go to Ogbea, where President Goodluck, former President Goodluck comes from. And Silva coming from Ras Axis. You have major players. And Southern Ijo, Ogbea, and actually all of them are known for violence. But I believe, especially cultism and non-political violence. So if you come to Imo, you have the threat of unknown gunmen. And Imo has been in the limelight for the worst reasons. If you go to somewhere also, you come to Olo, then you know that it's the contingent with Newi and Ehiala in Anambra State, where these people have their operational bases. So the tendency of infiltrating from Anambra, so I believe that our security agencies should concentrate effort, apart from these areas I've mentioned. If you go to Okigwe and Mbano, these are hotbeds too, that these unknown gunmen will not want the election to hold. You recall a lot of INEC facilities and public facilities have been burned down severally before this election.
There were no registration in some local government areas, polling units.
And even policemen killed and burned. And if you come to Kogi, Kogi is known for violence, political violence, even non-political violence. The issue of kidnapping is there, and we've recorded a lot of political violence pre-election, and it's going to continue. I think it was yesterday, this ADP or DC candidate, SDP candidate, was talking of how he was attacked. These are not good signs. And our security agency, I'm also happy that the IG has given reassurance on deployment. At least 3 DIGs have been deployed to each of the states to man operations. That's encouraging, but the outcome is what one cannot predict. I am not very comfortable.
Even though the police and the military seems to be on the same page on this, and you also heard the NSA also making the assurance that there will be no violence in elections. What must change if their words will hold true?
Well, the people's citizen involvement. People must be involved in this election. Cooperate with the security agencies and, like he said, see something, say something. You don't rely on the security agencies alone to continue to... These people perpetrating these criminal activities are from the people. They know them. To report to the police, and I expect the police to be effective in dealing with this crisis. I'm also encouraged when INEC released a report that where there is violence, the votes will not count. I think that's another measure.
Some people say that could work negatively, though.
Well, it doesn't matter, but once it will discourage violence. Because if it works negatively, I don't think it will work negatively.
But,
once
you know, people can go and instigate violence in the strongholds of their political opponents.
You know, there's nothing impossible with Nigerian politicians. But my question is, are we here, are we campaigning, canvassing for votes to serve the people or to kill the people? Why must you kill the people before you are elected? If you kill everybody, who are you going to govern? So that's the problem. The moment we begin to look at service to the people, and not what we are going to amassing wealth, looting, and all these things, that's a major problem. Until we change our psyche on this particular issue, the thing is going to, because power, you want to get power, grab power by all means, and not to serve the people, but to serve themselves. Quite unfortunate.
I mean, you've talked about the police and their deployment. Yesterday, they issued a statement on a joint security operation in Ayingba following an attack on policemen attached to the SDP governorship candidate. Now, they say they're going to be cordoning off and doing, they're going to be raiding. I'm trying to see if I can read the exact words in the statement now. To this end, to make for peaceful election in Kogi State, the raids on suspected criminal thugs' hideouts will be sustained to deny them safe havens to operate. The ongoing operation will be sustained until after the election. They even put a please at the end. But I'm wondering, do you think that this is something that should have come earlier, or do you think that we have let this monster of political thugs fester for too long? Because political thugs are not new. Is it until the police came under attack that they now know that they're going to be doing something about them, you know, before
I believe that the police must have been doing certain things, you know, but see politicians, the way they behave, you hardly can read them because of the fluid nature of trying to grab power. So it's better late than never. So I believe that the police deployment will serve as a deterrent, you know, to...
It's an operation you support?
Of course, why not? I do. And there's a lot, I don't even have the exact figures now, but I know that sufficient manpower have been deployed in the state.
So I'm asking that because some people will say too much police also frightens the people. When there is too much security, too many security agencies on the ground, you know, some people might believe that, oh, it's been militarized. The police must be perceived to be neutral. Do you think that in this situation, given the fact that they're going to be conducting raids in these suspected places, they could be accused of bias or having taken sides in the election?
Well, the thing is going to have apathy on part of the voters. There's not going to be large turnout. In fact, we've not been having large turnouts. But it's better, even if it's 10% that is voting, which is not good for us. Even if it's 10%, let them vote in peaceful environment. I think the deployment is much, much better. But anybody who has no intentions to commit crime should stay off the scene. And I'm happy with the restriction of vehicles, especially in Imo. That must be enforced. movement of vehicles must be enforced in Imo because of this unknown government.
Would you say that we have significantly, persuasively communicated with the people enough, persuade them enough to come out and vote? Because there are those who would think, look, going out, and one of the, or it was on this program, we have, the first guest we had here was talking about the fact that people coming out is being perceived by the people themselves as a risk.
Yeah, that's true. But again, there's need for that building of confidence and trust. People don't have confidence in governance or government. That people are elected, you promise heaven and earth, and at the end of it, you don't fulfill your promises. So people will say, normally our votes don't count. Even when they come there, they won't do anything. They are discouraged from voting. But we cannot continue like that. We need to change our attitude to ensure that the elected people who are elected represent the interests of the people. And there's no way this can be done than INEC with the various stakeholders. And that brings me to the issue of other stakeholders. I talk of the media, sensationalism, people reporting, unfounded stories. These people have been killed, exaggerating the situation. So I think they should play it down to ensure that we get...
Just a quick one. The NLC already said that they are on strike in Imo. They have done everything to, as I say, ground operations and activities. But we have an election ahead. Do you see the actions of the NLC affecting the elections in Imo?
It's definitely going to affect. It's quite unfortunate that that incident took place, and I think it should have been better handled. If the NLC goes ahead to carry out its threat and it's not resolved between now and the 11th, it's going to be disastrous.
Who should do something and what should be done?
I think the federal government should intervene this time. The federal government should intervene.
All right, well, the NSA has said it, that it will be peaceful. There will be no interference. IGP equally has said they will deploy their men adequately, and anyone trying to foment trouble in Kogi, for instance, or anywhere else, all thugs relocate. So, on that note, we hope that those words of theirs will materialize on the day of election so that everyone can go about their duties peacefully on the elections. We thank you for coming on. Always a pleasure to have you on as well. Mike Ejiofor, former director with the SSS.